Okay, so our last segment, we're going to talk about the local targets in the 2022 class with Mark Miller, Wisconsin Basketball Yearbook, and the Marquette aficionado, my friend and colleague, John Dodds. 6'5", Leon Bond from Tosa East. You chatted about him earlier, Mark. Could you give us just a little more before we get into Seth Trimble? And I love the background there. But first, your take on Bond.
Yeah, Leon is a guy that Marquette is really pursuing very heavily. They really enjoy and really feel that he can become an outstanding player down the road for Marquette. His versatility, his athleticism, his competitiveness, his willingness to work hard to get better, his outlook on life and then basketball, a great family. He's a guy that they really want desperately to join the program. So he's obviously one of the top 2022 prospects in Wisconsin. He's a kid that every time you see him, he gets a little better. He's a little like David Joplin in his versatility, although probably not the shooter that David is. But he can handle the ball and he can score around the basket. He can defend at a high level. He can block shots. He's very athletic. And he's a kid that, like a lot of these guys that we've talked about today, is going to have a big upside.
JD?
Yeah, one of the positives is being from Tosa East, he can come in a unofficial capacity. And I think he visited June 1st, if I'm not mistaken, and then he had a formal visit within the past week, I believe. And I know Cincinnati is in on him, so he's starting to blow up because people see the athleticism, but it's going to be an interesting recruiting class. But I remember when Tom Crean came over in '99, we went to he threw out the first pitch and about 50 people went out to a tailgate party with him, and he would excuse himself because there was a phone call, and he would excuse himself, he'd come back and say, hey, Scott Merritt just committed. And then he would excuse himself.
Speaking of Tosa East.
He'd say Terry Sanders is all set to come in for an unofficial visit. So it's these unofficial visits with the local kids are key.
Yeah. Mark, would you chat a little bit as we wrap her up here? Seth Trimble from Menominee Falls. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. John and I were talking about this the other day. J.P. Tokato, his mother, is she not also the mother of Seth Trimble?
Yes,
yeah.
She is.
So there's a lot of athleticism there emanating from mother, right?
Yeah, right, absolutely. Seth is really a dynamic player. I think I think he's committing today, actually, and the word on the street is it'll probably be North Carolina, where JP played.
Really?
But he's about 6'2", and exceptionally athletic, very aggressive, really good with the ball. Probably a top 50 kid in the country. And he, like David Joplin and Leon Bond and so many of these others that we've talked about today, he's a kid that just keeps getting better. He's going to have an opportunity in July to play on the EYBL circuit, which I think will be awesome for him because he'll get an opportunity to show what he can do against other very highly ranked kids in the country.
John Dodds, final thoughts with Mark Miller, Wisconsin Basketball Yearbook?
Yeah, I think there were 5 crystal ball calls on 24/7 that Trimble's going to North Carolina. It came down to North Carolina, Marquette, and Michigan. And Michigan recruited a guard and in his spot. So, but you never know with this recruiting, somebody becomes dissatisfied over. Keep recruiting, build the relationships. You never know when the boomerang comes back. And Mark, I just want to ask a couple. Last year's class, last couple of years have been just incredible. The talent that's come out of this state. Just if you can comment a little bit about the 2022 class and the 2023 class.
Yeah, the 2022 class. I think we were up to 25 Division I players from Wisconsin in the 21 class.
Wow.
I don't think we're going to get that high in 22. It'll probably be more in the 10 to 15 range. As far as high major players, you're looking at 3 or 4, maybe as high as 5 or 6. But at this point, I would guess 3 or 4. Obviously, Leon Bond and Seth Trimble are 2 of the guys at the very top of the list, and Jeffrey Brazil from Martin Luther would be another one possibly to go at that level. The 23 class, I think, will be a little down compared to the previous classes in terms of number of Division I players and also in terms of high major Division I players. Unless we get some kids that emerge, which usually happens. But at this point, I would say, it seems that class maybe doesn't have the depth or the high quality at the very top. So,
Mark, it might be too early to talk about your Christmas tournament. You had to postpone it last year, obviously, to COVID. Are you looking toward right now having that again, or
yes.
When would it be, or if you can tell us about
I
it?
just saw we had a high school tournament in Kaukauna last weekend and saw the guys from Concordia, both Sean Cassidy and Dan Miller, the assistant coach there, and we talked about how much we're looking forward to it after missing last year. So it's all set. The pairings are all up on WBBY.com, and we got some very good teams coming and some great players, some good young players. So looking forward to having that back, and I know all the kids are looking forward to it too. It's really, even though we did have the season last year at the high school level, it was a tough season. We didn't have our state tournament was split. The kids had to wear masks. Some schools played 23 games. Some schools played 10 games. I mean, it was just all over the map. And unfortunately, some schools played 0 games, as you guys know. So, very much looking forward to seeing the Milwaukee kids play, the Madison kids play, who had to sit out last year, and having the high school basketball season back. When something like that gets taken away, like anything in life, you really appreciate what it is, and that was the case last year for sure.
And if you want to subscribe to your site or order your book, can you give us some information?
Sure. Yeah, I'm working on the yearbook already for next year, and you can't buy it quite yet because we haven't switched over for the new year. But toward the later summer, early fall, WBBY will have it, and of course. Stuff on a daily basis you can find on wisports.net on writing about kids all the time. So, yep, that's where you can find it, wisports.net and WBBY.com.
Mark Miller, Wisconsin Basketball Yearbook. As great as you are, I love the passion, and he's an even better fellow. We really appreciate, again, his company. John Dodds, Pippin Dodds, the Marquette Video Podcast, combining JD, a publisher of MarquetteHoops.com, part of the 24/7 Sports Network, a subsidiary of CBS Sports. So for Mark, for JD, for our producer Jason Ruck here at Wisconsin Sports Stream, I'm Tom Pippins. Thanks again, everybody. God bless, and we look forward to our next segment on Marquette University basketball and more.